Access to THC-A, a legal cannabis product, could be at risk. The CDC says it's non-psychoactive until heated, but a new federal proposal could shut down dispensaries selling it, including those here in Wisconsin. Samantha Cavalli explains what THC-A is and how a potential ban could shut down thousands of businesses.
The picture now,
it's becoming a lifeline for people living in states where marijuana is still illegal. Those living with chronic pain, anxiety, or sleep troubles are turning to THC-A, a legal form of cannabis.
Our business is not about getting high. Our business is not about, getting your kids high. Our business is about helping people.
Ben Miller opened HempWorks Wisconsin in 2019, making it one of the first dispensaries in the Fox Valley after the 2018 Farm Bill went into effect. That law reclassified hemp as an agricultural product, opening the door for hemp-derived products to be grown, sold, and shipped nationwide. It defines hemp as cannabis with less than 0.3% delta-9 THC on a dry weight basis.
People think that they can only get cannabis in Michigan or Colorado or someplace that had their big bang of we're legalizing cannabis, and that's just simply not the truth.
THC-A is completely legal in the state of Wisconsin, but a new federal proposal could shut down shops that actually sell it. Miller says if this passes, he and other hemp dispensaries would go out of business. The new provision would ban any product with more than 0.4 milligrams of THC per container, a major shift from percentage of THC in the plant to the total amount in the finished product.
The hemp industry in Wisconsin alone is a $300 million industry, and we're not talking about chump change. The entire United States, you're talking about shutting down a $30 billion industry.
Miller says his mission isn't about selling weed. It's about helping people find relief without having to travel out of state.
Our business is, helping people live their lives however they want. If someone wants to go out and get a drink at a bar, why can't they go out and smoke a joint?
If this provision were to pass, the federal ban would begin in November 2026. In Oshkosh, Samantha Cavalli, Action 2 News.